this one has another little thing. So the Sabian symbol, a child and a dog wearing borrowed eyeglasses, right? And in this book, the use of imagination and make-believe in anticipating higher stages of development. So the glasses represent wisdom, because obviously the person's been reading a lot, so they should know something. And the fact that the dog has the glasses too. Yeah, Steve, like that. The fact that the dog has glasses too is pretty cool, because the dog is emulating the child that he's walking with, right? And in this book, it talks about, in a sense, it is pretending or make-believe. Yet, by wearing the mask of a god, the medicine man at the time becomes, for all practical purposes, the incarnation of the god. Growth is always a hierarchical process, even if the growing entity is not aware of it. And there's something earlier here. Eyeglasses symbolize intellectual development. The chiefs of primitive tribes, in some instances, have sought to impress their people by wearing spectacles without glass, simply because these objects seem characteristics of a race of superior people. So, it's fake it till you make it, like you said, Steve, So that's very much this full moon is working with what we have and taking it a step higher, taking it a step further. And last night, I'll send this later, but last night I managed to get a lovely shot of the moon through the trees. And because I'm blessed with living on a hill. And so I have this wonderful gift of being able to see things like the sun, the moon, Venus coming up, stuff like that, right? So does anybody want to add to that, the Sabian symbol about the dog and the kid wearing glasses?
I just want to share that I spent the weekend with grandkids, but also a dog that doesn't need glasses. She is so intuitive. She is so, like, she can be way across the room and I will think of her and she'll just turn and it's like she smiles at me. Like she's just so connected, so wired in.
That's
And,
so great.
yeah. And the timing of that with this was magical.
Oh, so good. That's
Yeah.
so good.
And then I've had a lot of very amazing animals in my life that have been very intuitive and connected and wiser than some people I know. So
No glasses.
no glasses needed.
That's great. Thank you. Anybody else have anything to add to that?
No, I thought it was
Nobody's pet has glasses.
the movie star. Looks like he wants to say
Like
something.
the movie stars, yeah, pretending with their sunglasses. That's good.
I like the idea, or that it represents wisdom, or that's what it's become to known, or that glasses represent the wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to get myself more pairs of glasses.
Or you can get some without the lenses in them.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, I have a great new, I got to show you these. I have a great new pair of glasses.
Oh my, what what the heck?
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, I know. They're like Star Wars glasses, right? But they're watchmakers repair glasses.
Perfect. So you
Oh
can
my.
see every little detail.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Oh my goodness. I guess
I actually have a pair similar upstairs. Maybe we should all.
I guess along with our yellow clogs,
Submarine.
we're going to have to get.
Well, the reason I got those is because my ephemeris, my working thing, the the numbers are the size of ant shit. And
Oh, I see.
after a while of working with that, my eyes are on strike and I can see them picketing in front of me. So Lauren got me those.
Perfect.
Hey,
It's a good look on you, Sarie.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Canada's chart and the Uranus connection. And Dwayne, you were saying earlier about that bridge, Spence's Bridge, that lasted for 84 years,
yeah.
which is a Uranus cycle. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
So there were, I've been working with, let me show you this this book, the Book of World Horoscopes. And it's got horoscopes for every country and,
Wow.
various events and stuff, right? And I've had it for decades, as you can see. And it talks about the at noon on the chart for Canada is officially noon on July 1st,
Oh, good.
1867, right? But at midnight, they had a big celebration because they knew they were going to become Canada, right? And so some people were using a midnight chart, but it didn't quite fit right. And the midnight one also, the moon was void of course. So that means that the whole mother nature Gaia connection was kind of, not grounded, right? And Canada has a Cancer chart, so that groundedness that is very important. So for some reason, and I don't think they checked the astrological chart back in 1867. They might have, but but they decided to have the official Canada being, Canada at noon, exactly noon on July 1st, 1867. So that chart that I sent out is, it's that one, right? So I want to talk about that a bit. And then, because Canada is quite often all over the place. Like right now, there's some crazy people in Alberta, wanting to join Merca, and it's like, get a life. So in the original chart, there's the sun at 9 Cancer, there's the planet Uranus at 8 Cancer, and the moon at 6 Cancer. And
Wow.
the midheaven, which is the career point, the going ahead point, is at 1 Cancer. So this tight little conglomeration of Cancer planets, and they're so close together, and Cancer is about home and nurturing and things like that. And for years, Canada was called the breadbasket of the world. And the crops that we grew here went everywhere, right?
Mm.
And so the whole thing about Cancer being a nurturing place, this is us, this is Canada, very nurturing. And it's just before the new moon because the moon is at 6 Cancer, the sun is at 9 Cancer. So it's got like 6 hours to go before it would be exactly at the new moon. So it was a very auspicious time. But if you look at that chart, right between the moon and the sun is the planet Uranus. And Uranus, is about breakthroughs, inventions. It's restless, like this place gets pretty restless. And I went through the 20-year, I'll share those with you, the 20-year events, and referendums and, like all the siblings squabbling and the siblings of the provinces, of course.
Mm.
But we always come back to that Cancer energy, which is the nurturing and which is the home and which is roots and which is sort of foundation. It's earth. It's an earthy, it's a water planet, it's a water sign, but it's earthy. It's about feeling feeling for the nurturing. And the fact that Uranus is right in the middle of them and just before the new moon it's a little bit restless. And if you look at that chart, does everybody have that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do.
So notice the
Yeah.
three green lines going to the right to Jupiter. So Jupiter is our belief systems. Jupiter is our expansion. Jupiter is making things bigger, is vision. And it is in the sign of Pisces, another water sign. So these green lines, the trines, they're easy 120-degree things, and they're supportive of that mandate, really, to be a nurturing planet on this place, or a nurturing country, rather, on this planet. And so, as long as the intuition is listened to, and as long as the feelings are listened to, things are good. And I think that's what that convoy was all about. It was people's feelings, and I won't go into all the other stuff, but it was a feeling generated event. And that Jupiter is in the fifth house of creativity. So Canada, when it allows creativity to really be number one, it very much helps us where we're going. Notice there's two orange lines. Okay, so the orange lines are oppositions. And that same Jupiter that we were talking about a minute ago, notice the orange line going up to the Mars in the 11th house. So of all the clients that I've ever had that have had Jupiter opposite Mars, they're impatient. They want things to, I mean, they've got such great vision, and the Mars says, okay, let's go now, right? And so that's the challenge, is the impatience. The solution is standing on the hill and saying, okay, we need to do this and this and this. Okay, let's do this first. Let's do that. And the vision of Jupiter is going to make that work. But without standing back, you get this impatience. And does anybody notice that about Canada? With what goes on? Yeah.
Mm.
So we need to be in our vision. So I might write a letter to Mark. I'm so tempted to say Carnage, but I won't. The other orange line is Saturn at the bottom left here in the second house. So Saturn in the house of values and security, and it's in Scorpio. So Saturn in that house means that it takes a while. Like if this was a person's chart, and it really is, it's a big person. If Saturn was in your second house, it means that you wouldn't be entering life with a silver spoon. You had to work for it, because Saturn is that steady, step-by-step work. And it's in Scorpio, so it's always shifting and changing, and if you look at Canada's history, that's always been the case. They go ahead, then they go back, they go ahead, they go back. So not to put that down is just part of our nature. And if you look at that same Saturn with that orange line, you'll notice two black dotted lines going from it. So those are called inconjuncts, and they're this is small, about a 3-degree leeway there. But when we have that in our charts, it means that there's always adjustments. So Canada has that, always adjustments. I remember I met years ago my favorite astrologer, Buzz Myers, who is wonderful, wonderful. And his name was Robert, but they called him Buzz because he had 5 of these in his chart. 5 ink and I went to a workshop with him once, and he was laughing about how, this kind of rules his life. He'd go to a store and they'd have the shirt that he wanted, but it was the wrong size, right? So he had to adjust and go to the store that had the right size, and they had the wrong color. So there's always these little adjustments, right? And Canada has that, all these little adjustments. It's like you vote for somebody and he gets in or she gets in, and oh, where did that come from? That's not what I voted for. So there's always little adjustments. So, and there's one more from down here from Jupiter up to Mercury. And that one is especially responsible, I think, for the squabbling of the siblings, the squabbling of the provinces, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is on that third house, which is the siblings. If you look at a person's chart, that would indicate how they got along with their siblings. And there's lots of good stuff, those green lines. If everybody listens to their intuition, and the premiers get together and they listen and they feel, things are going to be good. But if they don't, then there's just misunderstandings. And and it's not about huge things, but it's, significant, right? And one of the things that comes to mind is um, you can't bring wine from BC over to Alberta. There's these crazy trade barriers, and they're insane. I remember years ago, Terry David Mulligan, who had a wonderful show on CKUA, did a public. He was driving across the border from BC to Alberta with wine, with a case of wine, just to bring it to people's attention. And right now there's talk about, letting some of those things go, right? But the provinces have their, no, we're going to do it like this. And especially Quebec, Quebec does that a lot, right? But it's not just Quebec. Like right now, with the trying to counter all the stuff that's coming from the south of us, Mark Carney has said, well, let's build, let's get that pipeline going and get the that flow happening, And BC said, nope, not going to do that. Oh, So there's an ongoing family feud, right? Ongoing. And if all the provinces listened and felt and saw the other person's perspective, it would be a whole different thing, But I mean, people quite often don't do that with their neighbors, their next door neighbor, So to ask a whole country to do it, I'm asking, right? But if more people asked, and the whole protest thing, write to your MLA, write to Mark, write to, and they may not listen immediately, but we're dealing here with vision and with the bigger picture. So if enough people were talking about that bigger picture, even to their neighbor, like for me, the best thing I can do for the planet is to raise my own vibration. And if I'm talking to you guys or talking to the person across the street, and there's a little bit of vibration raise because we're talking about significant, important, doable things, right? And that makes a difference. And that's what we need to do in the world right now because it's not a pretty sight out there, you know? And it is a pretty sight if we make this wonderful thing happen. If we listen to our gut feel, have our neighbor over for dinner, right? Write something to the paper, write something to, and there's another part of that about keeping our head down, because they're looking for us right now, right? But if we keep our head down, it's fine. We don't have to stand on the corner and because look what's happening in LA. It's people who are standing up and saying, "Hey, this is wrong," right? But there's more ways, and keeping our head down and talking to people and talking to the cosmic, in our nightly meditation, raise the vibration, right? And because Canada has three of these little black dotted lines, three of these inconjuncts, little things will bug people. Little things bug me at times, that's for sure. Little things, but we can also meditate and talk to the cosmic about little things. And a whole bunch of little things equal one medium-sized thing. A whole bunch of medium-sized things equal one big thing. So we have that
Thank
possibility.
you. Time to go. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye, Steve.
See you,
Thanks
Steve.
for joining us. Have a good one. That was nice seeing Steve.
Right on.
On the ferry.
Okay. So, are you going to?
Oh, no, sorry. I'm getting chilly here, but no, not yet. I've got a bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. You're just putting your coat on. Okay.
oh, yeah. Oh, no, I've got at least another half hour, I think. So, yeah,
Oh, good.
all good. All good.
Okay. So, Canada was born in July 1st, 1867, noon, Ottawa. Okay. And 21 years later would have been 1888. And, it's not like exactly on this spot. It's like within a couple of years, stuff happens. So, and by the way, July 27th, 1871, BC joined Canada, and it was to avoid US takeover because they'd already bought Alaska and the gold rush people were coming and they were going to overrun BC. So they joined Canada. So July 1st, 1871. And then July 15th, 1870, which was just a little bit before that, Manitoba joined. And I don't have a lot of information about the Manitoba thing. So 1888, then Uranus was in Libra, which is 90 degrees from the Cancer. So it was squared. So things were being tested. Squares are always, we test things and hopefully recover, right? So 1885, Northwest Rebellion, Louis Riel, they were objecting to the way that the Métis were being treated. They actually killed Louis Riel in 1885. And the Francophones denounced the ruling, and Canada was split along religious and language lines. So that's why we have French on the cereal boxes. One of the reasons. So, and also November 7th, 1885, the Transcontinental Railway was completed. And that's another reason that BC joined Canada, because of the railway, like it was going to unify the whole country, right? So that square was, testing things and some resolution got happening. So the next one, 1909, 1910, that area in there, Uranus was in Capricorn, which is the opposite of Cancer. So it was halfway through that 84-year cycle. 1903, Alberta and Saskatchewan joined, and the Northwest Territories. 1906, Treaty 10 took more land from the Indigenous people. 1910, the Royal Canadian Navy was established. And 1909 was the first flight. The Wright brothers had their thing, but they had it in Canada um, at Braddoor Lake, which was in Nova Scotia. And also prohibition and women's vote. Those were issues that we're dealing with. And then 1930, Uranus was in Aries. So again, another square. So more adjusting. And there was a lot of union violence, a lot of strikes and union violence and trying to get the unions established. And also the Depression. So everybody was, not just Canada, everybody was going through that, trying to be, you had to be independent. And Uranus was in Aries, which was this is the most independent sign we've got, right? So the Depression brought challenges to people, but also some solutions. Well, there's none of that, so we'll make this, you know, and you had the hobos traveling across on the railway, right? So people had to be independent, and it wasn't just the siblings of Canada; it was everybody, everybody's siblings. The next piece was 1951, where Uranus was back in Cancer, just like in the natal chart, and Newfoundland joined in 1949. And actually, the joining of Newfoundland was quite contentious. There was a referendum between people who wanted to stay a British colony and people who wanted to become part of Canada. And it was quite contentious, apparently. I wasn't there, so I was still in Belgium at that point, yeah. So March 31st, 1949, 11:59 p.m., and they also had the Canadian Citizenship Act, 1947. And then in 1972, there was another square, back to Libra. And 1972, the War Measures Act was in October of 1970. And that's when the FLQ, they killed Pierre Laporte, and they absconded with a British official who was released. And then they had a little bit later, 1980, the Quebecers had another referendum and they voted no. They didn't want to be separate. They wanted to stay in Canada. So with that, the War Measures Act and the FLQ, it was quite intense. I remember I was living in Toronto at the time, and yeah, it was news everywhere, So,
What was the placement of the planets at that time? What were you saying about that?
Uranus was in Libra.
Yeah. Oh.
Uranus was in Libra, so it was square to Canada's Cancer.
Oh, okay.
And the Cancer wants harmony and balance within the family, right? So this square from Libra brought out the FLQ and there was some really nasty stuff going on. Right. Okay, and the next one that I have is 1993, and that was in Capricorn again, so it was opposite. So it was again halfway through the cycle, right? And and back a little bit, the Constitution was repatriated, so that meant that Canada was definitely totally independent, even though we had old King Charles, read the thing this time, right? So there was again another referendum from Quebec, and it was defeated. They said no. but not that big a. And then 1995, they had another referendum, again defeated, but by a small margin. So you can see the provinces, well, especially Quebec. And also during 1994, January 1st, 1994, the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, was established between Canada, Merca, and Mexico. Okay. So that would have affected all the provinces because it had to do with, and I don't have the details on that, but it affected a lot of the trade stuff, right? And still does. Okay, 2014 is our latest one because the next one is, I believe, 2020. No, 35, yeah. So 2014, it was again in Aries. So again, a square. And the Haida Gwaii Council, they no longer called it the Queen Charlotte Islands. They wanted to have their own traditional name, which was Haida Gwaii. The Canadians left the Afghanistan fight. The Cannabis Act came in, so it was legal to have recreational cannabis. And Canada was only the second country to do that. Uruguay was first in 2013. And students in I think it was in Quebec were protesting over a proposed university tuition increase, and they won. They stopped it. It was a peaceful protest, So again, a square, but there wasn't as much intensity. And I think probably the Cannabis Act had something to do with that, right? Because you get more mellow. So the next one is 2035. And I don't know. I'm not there yet, right? So you can see that, Canada has a restless family, but not a violent family. So that restlessness, like referendums and stuff, and people said, yeah, right, whatever, right? And that's going on in Alberta, Saskatchewan. I have a good friend. Well, I don't know if he's a good friend anymore, but I've known him for 50 years. And last time I talked to him, he was with the organizing people to separate Alberta and Saskatchewan from Canada. And I thought, that's crazy. And the conversation didn't end well. So I don't know if he's my friend anymore. But I really do think that's crazy. That's my own opinion. So if they let go of all the trade barriers within the provinces, that would be amazing. We're one country. And not to be able to bring your case of beer across a provincial border is ridiculous. Just ridiculous. But with Uranus right in the middle of that natal chart, unexpected, right? Unexpected stuff. And looking at the bigger picture and looking at it differently. My very favorite Uranus story that I used to use in my consultations, Uranus is like driving down the alley, okay? So you can see you're on a street and you can see the houses, you can see the traffic patterns, you can see it all, right? But you drive down the alley and you see people's backyards. You see what they've done. You see the plants, you see the different things. You see maybe people having a hockey game in the alley, right? So that's Uranus. It's like driving down the alley and seeing a bigger picture, right? Or at least a different picture. And the next time you meet your neighbor, you say, wow, that's great what you've done to your backyard, And right there's some barriers broken down because you're talking about it. you know, and you can say to your neighbor, yeah, if you want to come see my backyard, you're welcome, right? So it doesn't have to be guns and tear gas, right?
Mm.
So this restless spirit, if we acknowledge it, and if we acknowledge our differences, if all the provinces acknowledge their differences, instead of saying, no, you can't do that, you know, it would be, that would be Canada's real mandate, I think, because cancer is home, it's loving, it's providing food, it's providing community and company, and you know, it's like the great mother, right? The great mother will feed your kid's friend, you know, if they come, if they happen to arrive at supper time, right? We'll feed them all, right? We'll nurture them all. So this is a nurturing country, and it doesn't look like the 1950s idea, the marketing of what home should look like. You know, it's everybody does it their own way. And so the whole thing about freedom and being able to choose well, as long as you don't hurt your neighbor, you know, but being able to do it your own way. And I think one of the things that is sort of against this is today's strata communities where you can't paint your door a different color, you know, unless you get permission from the strata, right? That's crazy.
Mm.
But what's positive is that we're not in jail for painting the door orange. You know, we may have to deal with the strata members, but we're not thrown in jail. We're not killed. We're not guillotined, you know, like all those things. It's there might be some disagreements, but if we feel, and that's very much part of this, Canada has it's now on its second cycle, you know, second 84-year cycle, right? And it has that experience of being resilient. And I know that's a word that gets thrown around all the time, right? But resilient is a really important concept, especially when you've got three of those inconjunct in your birth chart. And this is Canada's birth chart, right? So the challenge is to take those little annoying things and talk about it. Say, what is this? You know, how can we resolve this, right? Because I know from experience that if there's a problem, there's a solution. You know, we live in a world of duality. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. You know, duality, light and dark. So problem, solution. And you know, the Canada's chart, Mercury, which is the communication planet, is in Leo, and it only has that one little dotted line. It does not connect it too much to the rest of the chart. So how that works, Mercury is our communication, our listening ability, as well as our talking ability, and it's in Leo, which is a fire sign that comes from the heart. So that's so important to always come from the heart. You know, and if we disagree with somebody else that's coming from the heart, we don't have to stay in the same room. We can walk out. You don't have to try and convince them because that's pointless, you know. But if our heart is offended, it's like, no, I can't. No, no, no. You can just leave, you know, and it's up to us to deal with our reactions. It's not somebody else's problem. If somebody really makes us angry, it's not their problem, it's ours because it's our reaction, you know? And so the heart, coming from the heart, is vital to keeping Canada a great place. I wasn't born here, I was born in Belgium, but I came here when I was 9. And so it's my adopted country, and I've got citizenship, and I love it. And I don't want to see it destroyed. I really don't. I love it. And I'll do whatever I can to send messages to the cosmic and, listen and if I don't agree with somebody, I'll walk away, you know. So, thanks for listening.
Wow.
Thanks for sharing.
Holy, oh,
Thank you so very much. Wow.
You're welcome.
talk about in depth. Oh, sorry, that was amazing. Like all the the history and the in depth of the whole story there. That was wow, pretty impressive. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing. Yeah. I will go back and listen and make notes and
Yeah,
thank you so much.
thank you.
Yeah. I like the feel of when you like Canada, like all, from the past or in the travels or whatnot, things have kind of changed, but it was like, oh yeah, to have the flag on your back, right? It was like Canadians were respected and were known as sort of peaceful and accommodating and wonderful, compassionate, loving people. And so
Yeah.
your story there of the country and how you've yeah the stories you've told, and I love the like to go hang on to that place even though there's divisiveness and things going on right now, but to hang on to that place of what Canada is. And
Hmm.
as you say, just even in our own little communities, like just kind of keeping that alive, or that heartfelt connection and keeping it alive and generating it in our own little communities are the best.
Hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
uh, yeah, wonderful, Sarie. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I checked the Sabian symbol for Canada's sun,
Hmm.
a large diamond in the first stages of the cutting process.
Oh,
Oh my
so good.
goodness.
That's so good. Thank you.
I love it.
That's so
Com-
wonderful.
Coming to terms with inner worth, emerging perfection, enormous beauty that is still a bit rough around the edges. If negative, leaving an important job unfinished. But yeah, love that large diamond. And Sarie, I really appreciate you bringing forth the importance of the feelings in dealing with Canada's greater life.
Yeah.
I think of the convoy, which for whatever reason I got onto in the earliest stages of,
Hmm.
and I then rode with the different um, people that were broadcasting on route all the way into Ottawa. And when the convoy manifested in town, like the big feeling of the Canada that wanted to be expressed, when that came up against this prime minister who completely dis I mean he didn't respond to it as an acknowledgement that it even existed. It
Hmm.
was so disconnected, and my heart ached. Like I felt like if he had only opened the door to conversation,
Yeah.
he would have been like in this incredibly positive place for everybody because the
Hmm.
feeling was there. But he completely uh, turned his back on it, and I was just like, wow, what a thing to miss. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and the fact that the whole convoy experience was nonviolent, it was just so positive, and I'm so glad that the people that brought that vibe together were not hurt by it.
Hmm.
Like ultimately, we went in, we showed up. This is the real Canada, and
Yeah. Yeah.
we left.
And
And
you guys talk to each other.
yes,
Remember, there were all these videos where people would talk and saying, "Oh, I had this experience. Nobody talked to me because we were isolated and da da da." and then all this Indian kind of drumming and smudging going on. It was wonderful. You
Hmm.
know, this is what I like about Canada. Also potluck. What a wonderful thing. I've never seen another country who has potluck. It's like, and it's so easy. You just bring your own dish, and it's not a big deal that you have to cook 10 dishes. And you have this variety, and people can talk. So potlucks are very good for you guys also, for
Hmm.
talking to each other.
Right on.
That's the places
Absolutely.
where you can talk, and you're very good at that. Very good. And this is what I love about you guys. I had the in the community groups, it's always like a hall, a community hall. Nobody here has a community hall. I wouldn't, I don't even know where one is, but there's everywhere. You can go and people come together and they bring their honey, their marmalade, their fruits, and all these different products.
Hmm.
So, and you communicate. And I did that when I was in Canada. I took the opportunity whenever it was, I was able to, or somebody inviting me, like, this is how we met, Dwayne, I didn't know you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Beverly just said, yeah, yeah, you have to do this. Yeah, 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 let's go. And we did all this wonderful smudging and didgeridoo and without knowing the other person really or deeply, it can be also, it doesn't have to be uh, like, you just have to fit in. You don't have to be 100% living there all the time
No.
because you guys are very open as well, in a way. I mean, I haven't been living there, so living in another country, it's always different.
Hmm.
Like people change. All of a sudden, you are like competition because you make the same juice or you have the same thinking. But I don't know or about how much country you have or how you live. Let people envy you or give you problems. I don't know how the situation is about land and stuff. That's where the rules are coming in. And I don't know much about that. But you guys actually have really kind and loving communities.
Hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of communities, with community halls, you said you weren't sure where there was one. Well, right here in Spence's Bridge, just yesterday, we celebrated 160 years as a
Wow.
Wow.
little town. And 160 years ago, we had, uh,
No way that you have something like this somewhere else.
yeah, and it just,
Mhm.
it was the flowering. The whole community converged, and it was wonderful.
That's so good.
Just knowing that's happening, eh? But there are places where it's just that tight and that and sustained by individual people stepping up and just saying, "I want to. This is
Hmm.
my Canada. This is how I like to celebrate." And
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can construct the way you want. You mentioned that,
yeah,
like everywhere else you have to have permission to do an extension to your balcony or your something on your terrace or something. You guys just build, no question about it.
yeah,
If you have wood to do it, go for it. I love that. I love this free style of building also very much.
Hmm.
And it's inspiring. It's very creative.
right on.
That's the Leo. That's what you mentioned with the Leo.
Hmm.
So you guys have fun doing so, just for a party. You build these stages. Like my brother, he always would, when there was a party, he would uh, create this incredible stage and cooking in this covered hot pots or whatever that were called with hot stones inside, and then seaweed
Sweat
and
lodge.
and fish. How does it call? Huh?
It's a sweat lodge.
Sweat
No,
lodge.
no, no. It was like cooking. They would
Oh,
dig
okay.
a hole and put the hot stones in there.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yep. I've experienced that.
Um,
Yep.
the
Gotcha.
hot stones and
Hot
fish
springs.
and seaweed. And then you had corn in there, you had chickens in there, and you had potatoes somewhere, and it was all closed and cooked for 4 or 5 hours. And then the people would come, and then you unpeel this whole thing, and then everybody eats. It's like, wow. I mean, it's amazing, this group ceremony of eating together.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's what I remember. Was very good.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
A- and the fact, I mean it's so with the chart there, Sari, like Cancer, 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 Moon, Sun, Uranus, all the concentration in Cancer. So it was good to hear that whole story too, that yeah, nurturing, like Canada, it's nurturing, it's the mother. And or yeah, that's and with what Barbara's saying here, like that adds to it. Like, yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
is. That's yeah, grassroots Canada people. Yeah, the feeling and bringing forward the freedom convoy, doing like it like wasn't that just, I mean, your heart just you just went
Yes.
out to that. Your heart was
Yes.
just with them across the country and down there. Your heart was just open and yeah.
Flashing up against pillars of
Yeah, really.
ideology.
And they won't last.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so
Wow.
as a lunation birthday, as you said, the dark of the moon, this is the seed point. Canada
Mhm.
is meant to be a seed nation,
Yeah.
my take. Well, here I am working on my manuscript. Part 9, Emergence of the Seed Human Archetype.
Ah,
So here's a Canadian writing about
cool.
emergence of the seed human archetype. So
Your job.
Yeah.
just let me
Yeah.
give you the first paragraph here. The concept of the seed human archetype represents a new stage in human evolution, a transition from the old paradigms of fragmented identity into a fully integrated, spiritually attuned being. This archetype is not a futuristic fantasy. It is an emerging reality seated in the consciousness of those who are awakening to the deeper rhythms of existence.
That's great. That's
That's
great.
us, folks. That's
Yeah,
us.
that's us. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, maybe you are good in sitting it out also, because you're in the country, people are patient and they go with the nature, and in the city, the people in the city who are making the law and order, they are more impatient
Yeah.
because they want to do this law and order thing. And you
Control.
guys in the country are saying, oh no, I'm just gonna go for the next potluck, or there's a party there,
Yeah.
and some friends are doing some healing over there. And you have this healing power also, like uh, this attracted me very much as well, like all doing all these healing ceremonies without importance. It wasn't like a big deal, like 160 years or nada. No, you can do it whenever you want, wherever you go. You can go with your canoe and sit somewhere where on the other 5 minutes before there was a cougar. It's like, what? It's not there now. Now
Yeah.
we are here. So this kind of attitude I had to get adjusted to. when I was in Canada because wildlife doesn't scare you. You live with it,
Mhm.
you know. You live with it, and okay, there is the season of cougars, so take care of the little kids, or just be more conscious of what nature is doing right now. And bears, yeah, you guys are constantly living with that.
Yeah.
I think this is what makes you guys more holy, or more holy in the sense of whole.
Mm.
And that gives you a better base of spirituality, if I can say so.
Mhm.
Maybe that's already because all the other countries, they don't have that anymore. We don't have, wild stuff here.
Right.
Of course, people, fishermen maybe have more knowledge than we do and stuff. But I mean, this being connected to nature so directly is probably the must have to go to higher levels, because that's Mother Earth. You're respecting it. And, if they're not there anymore, you can't respect it. And people in the city don't have so much respect for animals like that. Maybe. I don't know. It just feels like it, because that was one thing I noticed when I was there, that it's not everywhere. It's just there. That you can have the noises, and the eagles, you guys, these eagles are amazing. You have all this big energies all around you constantly. And the salmon, oh my God. Yeah. So very rich and very Mother Earth
Yeah.
energy. And isn't Uranus the sky energy? And Earth, well, Mother Earth is the energy, and the sky is Uranus. So earth and air. And that's very creative. They have a very creative flow going on. So
Mhm.
Uranus isn't always like just attention, please, or destruction. It's also very inspiring, like very new ideas coming up, and Mother Earth picks it up. Mother Earth loves that Uranian energy. For example, lightning strikes, it's like the the most wonderful storms I remember I had in Canada. They were so fantastic. And even the trees, like, who got hit, and the next day you could see this tree being split open and burned, and it was like, wow. It's destructive, but it's also creative.
Right on.
Driving down the alley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good, yeah, good analogy on that. Sorry. Yeah. Mm.
So I'd like to read the Sabian symbol for the Canada's ascendant, which is the personality, right? Seventh degree of Libra, a woman feeding chickens and protecting them from the hawks.
Yeah.
Right
The
on.
need to feed to face the antagonism of powers of darkness as one attempts to feed the mind of as yet helpless and frightened apprentices. It's what guardianship is the word. Guardianship.
Mhm.
So that's great. That's great. And so I really like that in conjunction with what you read, Dwayne, you
Yeah.
know. So the guardianship and the yeah, it's great.
Seed human.
I'm touched.
Mm, 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 mm.
I
I'm
really like that
definitely
diamond
more
in
of a,
the rough.
sorry, go ahead.
I love that diamond in the rough.
I know.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
so great.
Right, right. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, and yeah, and remembering or equating, hearing about when you compared it to the provinces as siblings, like
Mm,
again, just working with ourselves, like me with if I work with my family and siblings, it's keeping that in mind. Like if we each do that on the small scale,
mhm.
like that's
It will
thinking of it
spread.
like in the large scale. Like that's a very good analogy too. That's good to
Yeah.
yeah yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, if we can work it out in our own family or come to understandings or learn how to be with, what is within our own family, that if each one of us does that, there's those seeds, there's the little seeds, right? Seed,
Mhm.
seed, 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 like chit, 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 chit.
Right on.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow.
I'm definitely more of a country person, but I find that Vancouver is just this community. Well, you get this feeling of people that love the outdoors because
Mm,
I actually seem to find that a lot of the Vancouver people spend more time outdoors than some of the lower, Fraser Valley people. Like yeah, they have their jobs. They may live in condos, but they're outdoors. We've got Stanley Park, we've got the mountains, the ocean, and there's such a sense of community from people coming all over the world to gather and feels very much it's the city, but it's about connecting with nature there.
mhm.
So
Is that
that's
where you live?
outside. I live outside Vancouver, like
Okay.
between White Rock and Crescent Beach.
Ah,
And I had one granddaughter get to go help at a warehouse sale in there this weekend, and it was a real eye opener for her, connecting with people, just in a whole different vibe. And it was a community feeling, people enjoying people and working together, and yeah. And even though she was indoor with the sale, it was very much surrounded by nature and balance and sunshine and
nice.
yeah.
Huh,
It's
cool.
and after this I'm off to a potluck. So that's very timely.
Yes.
Mm.
Barbara, it's been so nice to see Canada through your eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I haven't thought about communicating with anybody. I mean, this is the analyzing as a foreigner when you see what you like about another country. I mean, you guys don't know what's going on in a foreigner's head. So yeah, this is like, and writing also. I got very inspired in writing something. I don't know why, but it was very inviting to, yeah, write something down or I don't know. It was like inspiring me all the time, constantly inspiration, not by people, but just by nature. The nature was like I was writing a little story about an elephant and a wolf having adventures together. So it's like stuff like that, which is like just coming up because so much nature is happening there.
Beautiful.
Mm,
And it's magical. So it's for me it was magical. They were doing things together, singing. Oh yeah, singing. Because you guys are also into singing. They went for a singing competition, and the competition. Yeah, I will probably turn it into a sci-fi story soon because I like it. What I did with the other story. So probably this Canadian story will fit into the same story, like a chapter or something.
mm,
So this is my and it's really interesting how very little I used AI, but it inspired me extremely. So I'm just gonna play with it as long as I'm having some information or some input to keep going. And if I'm stuck, I'm just gonna see what kind of questions are coming up. So I'm just taking it really easy and enjoying the trip because it's so nice also to get into this sci-fi environment, which I haven't been, but it fits so perfectly. It's like instead of it being a normal story, it's just space story, and it makes more sense because it's like fantasy anyway. What I was writing, it wasn't like a story which was real anyway, so it was an unreal story. So yeah, I'm having fun. Too much fun in doing stuff.
Well, fun is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and being creative. I mean, this is what it's so bad. In the moment I don't feel creative, I know that I'm out of balance.
Mm.
So, and I'm super happy when I can do something, it's like having a new idea and it's coming and it's flowing. I'm just making mermaid earrings right now to sell for the summertime for the people with their beach outfits. So you have some earrings to go with. And yeah, it's amazing. It's not one of them are the same. So it's like uh, tapping into this creativity which we have, which we I don't want to let it dry and say, oh, you know, um, I'm not gonna sell it, I don't think about selling it. I'm just thinking of making it,
Mm.
And whenever I made something, actually, it sold. So thinking about selling is actually the secondary thing.
So can you show us some of your work?
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
Very
wow.
Every
Hmm.
color you want. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and the Spanish like colors.
Ah, there.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Da-da.
That's a lot of detail work there.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my inner child probably also. It's very satisfying for the inner child because they're strong colors and fiddling around a little bit. And being a Libra, I cannot do one thing I have to always have like 3 or 4 or 5 projects open. In the meantime, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, and I'm writing the story. It's like, and I still watch some videos which I like. I hope you like the video I did send you guys today from Deep Chopra guy, this
Oh,
this Indian guy.
uh-huh.
Uh, I thought was very good also for the Sabian symbol, the guru energy, like and the disciple and the coming disciples, like this whole process of getting into meditation. And if you see it, it's like meditation, meditation, meditation. That's one very important way also for Canada. You guys do meditation groups, whatever you can do, whenever you can get some people together, sit together and meditate because that's leveling up.
Mm.
That's how you can start leveling up and these masters, they say, that's it. It's like you have to get into the practice. It's like with martial art. with yoga, with everything, you have to practice, practice, practice. Like me with my earrings, you know, the first ones, I did, and then all of a sudden it's a flow where you get into, and then there's more new designs coming, and it's like you have to tap into this abundance. And tap, 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 you know, you have to knock first, and then you have this divine recognition, which is also very important, which is the other video which I did send you guys with the Voyager stuff, you know. It's like, this is also like, isn't that wonderful when this is really true, that a higher energy or the divine energy is recognizing us, and we are getting into a dialogue. That would be so great, you know? And I think you Canadians can do that.
Can you say more about that Voyager thing? Because I don't know. Have any of you guys heard about what's going on?
With this Voyager, he went, this I can explain it quickly
Yeah.
if you guys want, or somebody
Can-
else who wants to explain it.
I'd just like to know, I have to run, so I'll let, before I don't interrupt
Okay.
your explanation here, but I'll look forward to the replay for sure. And you guys, thank you so much, Sarie. That was so informative, and I
Yeah, very
appreciate all the
nice.
work and time you put into that. It was very informative.
You're
And
welcome. Thank you.
and Dwayne, thank you always for being
My
the
pleasure.
host, opening up and initiating, and yeah, and Brenda, good to see you all. I'll miss you, and I'll get on whenever I can, but I'll be
Yeah, and get some color.
All the best.
I definitely need color looking at you beautiful beings there, and it's like, oh my.
Rainbow.
And
Rainbow.
And all the
okay,
best
good.
on your upcoming adventure. My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I so look forward to it, and I so look forward to connecting again whenever I can do that. Okay.
Okay.
Love you all.
Love you too, girl.
Bye.
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 Bye. Got to go. Got to get out of here. Leave. Yeah. Sorry. It's hard to leave, but I got to go.
Wink. Right on.
When you
Yeah, this Voyager was sent
It's the Voyager
in
1
19
satellite, right?
yeah, this really old satellite from 1977. That's when Chiron was
That's right.
first seen. And I mean, we didn't have phones or anything. We had, you know, we didn't have mobile phones or anything. So this guy was going out, the Voyager, to Uranus, Saturn, Neptune. He was like going out, 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 and it was really like far away. And all of a sudden, they sort of lost the connection, and they thought, okay, this guy died. This thing just burned out, because it was very much going to the edge of our solar constellation, of our cosmic realm. So it was like leaving this bubble with the sun and all the planets around. So it was going into outer space. And nobody saw it. Nobody recognized it, or it was gone. So after a while, this Voyager came back with signals, and it was upgraded. That makes me shiver. I feel like, ooh. So somebody or someone recognized that this thing is chargeable. So they did install kind of new technology and technology like with chips stuff, which wasn't on it. It wasn't on it. That's what they are saying. And it reconnected with Earth. So they picked it up, the scientists picked it up and said, oh my God, this is Voyager. How? So they were fiddling around and thinking about it, what's going on, and they identified this chip with different things on it, and finally also like they made it they transformed with AI into a picture. Like we are fiddling around with AI, so all of a sudden the picture was a face, like a faded face. So and this seeing yourself or seeing some other entity. I mean, we think we are alone in this universe.
Mhm.
And this is what all this Chopra guy today also said. There's millions of livable star signs, not star signs, but planets everywhere. So we are not alone, but we think we are alone. So the first time is like that we have a contact which we don't know where it comes from. And the scientists freaked out and they turned it down. So they were like really freaked, but it was like in conscious, like consciously something happened, something came to us that it alters the state of mind right now, just from these seconds where this contact was. And it's not, nobody can make it reverse. Nobody can reverse it because it's there already. So if it's a higher energy or it's God or whoever contacted with us via Voyager, altered something.
Hmm.
And this something is working on our consciousness right now. So this is the story, how I got it. And it makes me feel like, wow, and I can feel this push, and we need it. We really need it. Like, sorry, you were saying we need this consciousness elevating.
Mhm.
We need to put it on a higher level and not on the killing and aggression level and on thinking we are God. Like some people are thinking I'm God, I'm the ultimo. But we need this consciousness maybe that we have the possibility or the capacity to evolve. And that's meditation, as far as I can see. The
Hmm.
only way, the only well, you can also with Tai Chi or with martial art or whatever reach, but in the end, they all have to meditate.
Mhm. So there's an extraterrestrial helping?
I don't know. It could be God, It could be God himself who says, "Oh, here are my kids. I'm just going to give you a new task.
Hmm.
I'm going to alter this chip a little bit, and you guys reach the new level. Like that's what you can think. You can make fear porn out of it, like aliens are invading, da 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 da, and we have to defend. We have to have a golden dome. We have to have this or that to protecting. So we protected from that. It
No,
depends.
I'm not suggesting that the extraterrestrials are aggressive. I'm just saying there's help.
Yes, I
Yeah,
agree.
That's
yeah,
all.
Mhm.
yeah. But I mean,
And yeah,
if we level up, then we can communicate. That's what you are also saying. Especially in Canada, you can communicate in nature with the eagle. You would not with the wolves are there. I mean, you guys, all of you here had an encounter with a wolf. I bet you. You had this. You felt the spirit of a wolf. I mean, when I first and when I in Canada when we walked in the woods and my people said, "Oh, there's wolves around." I tuned into it and I said, wow, they are really seeing me, but I don't see the wolves, you know. I could feel them around. The dogs were telling the wolves are around. You could see the shit from the butts there, and you could see how fresh it is, and you could tell, okay, they are around. It's just 5 minutes ago. So, it's like a total different consciousness. And if you guys are ripening this more and more, then you don't even have to vote. It's it's gonna happen. It's just gonna elevate. It's gonna solve itself by itself. This is how I feel for a lot of times when I'm just sitting and meditate. First, I think it's like, oh my God, the world is going under and da da da. And afterwards, I say, not at all. It's gone. I just cleaned it out and it's not there anymore. All this agitation, all this feelings of being hurt or or left alone or something sad, happy, you can cool down and come back to your center. And that's what in this last video I did send you from Chopra. He said, it's nice to connect with source. That's this source energy. And that's why I want to put source with Hunab Ku. Since we are facing Hunab Ku now from Earth, Hunab Ku can correspond with us again. So maybe our energy, our human energy, goes like a live stream to Hunab Ku and he reflects back to us. So, and he can alter on that way, saying, okay, let's level this up or that up. I don't know. But it's like that was one way of seeing it for us being talking about the Mayan calendar. So calling source Hunab Ku. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that, but but I like the idea. I sort of
I'm with you.
maybe that's something for you, yeah, inspiring you, stuff like that is so it doesn't have to be an alien, it can be ourselves. Like we humans, we create this stream of thinking and thoughts and all, everybody has this constant thinking and making and doing, and this all goes in one stream. And I can see this stream going into the cosmos right now, facing the galactic center again after the yugas changed. So we are facing the galactic center again. And maybe now we are welcome back and we can level up again and have the golden age happening. And we don't need a dome. We don't need a golden dome. We just need a golden heart. And to connect to this
Right
kind
on.
of energy,
Yeah,
by opening up.
right
And
on.
that's maybe hopefully possible in Canada. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm glad I have you guys as my friends so I can see what's happening and participate, of course.
Always glad to see you show up.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I was busy today and I thought, oh, Tuesday, it's so much to do. But it's cool. Today is like Tuesday, it's like you have to do stuff. So that's maybe also a good energy for saying, yeah, let's do that. And I see your feather. Ah, yeah. This is so cool. Yeah, I'm so glad that you found this feather.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever found a
A
raven.
raven, it's so good.
I've got tons of eagle feathers, but a raven, no. Crow,
No, this
no.
is like this is communication. You see, this is like this is this how does Cliff he calls it qualia.
Right.
Yeah, he calls it qualia because it's like signs for you to to become aware. So God or this divine source talks to us constantly. And that's what the Indians were good at, you know. They saw the signs. When the raven flew from this side, it meant
Right on.
something, and then and from that side it means something else. And you riding on your bike, you got that one, you know. Be the raven. Be the raven who steals the sun.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
clever. I mean, he's a trickster. The raven is a very beautiful symbol, especially with the native people. They have so beautiful stories.
He uses the term qualia, but to me
Qualia,
that
yeah.
seems to be the same as synchronicity. Would you
Hmm?
would you agree?
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would use the same word.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he calls source energy ontology. And and it sounds very much like Scientology. So I prefer source because Scientology is not really my case. So
Mm,
ontology, and it sounds sick in a way. Ontology, that's the source energy, which will, and he's talking about that. This is like this is what's coming.
mhm.
And me connecting that with the Voyager story, and he connected it too. So he probably did it first. Maybe it was from his videos, but I picked it up right away that this is it. You know, this is like with the AI, they call it um, singularity. But singularity is something, it's like artificial. This is like artificial highest energy, you know, and the source energy is coming. So it's like two things coming at the same time. And this is what Rudolf Steiner talks also about Arman, because people will confuse these two energies, like the source energy and the what it was called with the AI, the yeah, I just said it. So
Dirty.
singularity. You know, that's what Elon Musk is talking about, singularity and all these other tech, high-tech guys, because they don't believe in any source, because they are so probably involved in this machine thinking that they don't see source anymore.
Mm.
So this is the problem. We have that's what Steiner said. Humans will be and then it creates the eighth sphere, which is like a sphere around the world, which is like artificial. So and it sorts somehow out the real source people connect to the source. So people who are like seeing the divine energy or feeling or working with it, and then the people who are believing in singularity, they're gonna be shut off and less emotions, less. They're not gonna be able to see signs, and so many people don't see a sign in a feather. You know, it's like us. It's you saw the feather, you know, you even saw it, you know, it was for you. And the universe is doing that. But others don't see that. They just don't. When you are more into believing in your knowledge and in singularity and tech, then you're gonna be more insensitive. You're gonna be shutting down. Well, that's what I know about what's coming, and I hope we all connect to the right source. I mean, this is what this is what Sarie talked about when she said, nobody can take that away from me. That's your soul, that's your soul energy. It's like only soul can communicate with the source. So if you don't have this ability to understand the signs, you're not gonna get it.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's see how maybe they're getting stronger, or we get stronger that we can read the signs and practice. If we practice, we can.
Mhm.
So I periodically check in with myself and to determine, am I living in the right place on the planet for the work that I'm doing? And shortly thereafter, a recent questioning of where am I? Uh, we did some work, home improvement. We had some old wood that needed replacing and so on. So in doing that, in the process, up came this symbol.
Oh, huh.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my
Very
goodness.
cool. Very cool.
It's solid metal. I mean, it's really heavy, but it's so right on.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
got the shivers. Oh my goodness.
Just some colors. You just need some colors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
it's great.
yep.
And
I won't be moving anytime soon.
No, you got the four directions right there.
And the Hopi Shield. Are you making that connection, Sari?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
know what Brenda is because we
Yeah.
she joined the group with
Yeah.
that air flying.
So great. So great.
Yeah.
I have a wooden tray exactly that shape. That was I was at Chapters or something buying a book, and there it was on sale, and I'm like, I have to take this. I don't know if I'll serve food on it, look at it, make something out of it, but it's like I need this. So
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic.
Very cool.
I have three little friends sitting behind me. It's a big, let's see, I don't know if I can. It's the first time I've made a print of something I've painted. So I
ah,
did the
oh,
horses and then
yeah.
one of my grand puppies. So that's a huge step. I'll go grab them quickly.
Mm.
First time I've ever scanned and made prints of anything, but somebody
Hey,
Wow.
wanted it. So
Beautiful.
anyway, that's going to be a gift. And then this is one of my grand puppies.
Ah,
Yeah.
So
nice.
What a character.
who, before they got him, I had this, I had this feeling of a dog coming into our lives or my life. And I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm getting a dog, but even had a vision of black and white. And I thought, is it a cat? And then I shared with my daughter because this was a number of years ago, but they haven't always understood, mom and how she works. But I said, I've just got to tell you that I feel this dog is coming, and shared about it being black and white. And she says, well, as a matter of fact, we're looking at getting a pup. So it was like, bells ringing. And then a week and a half or so later, I'm riding back from Chilliwack with her with this little black and white pup sitting on my lap. And he's now 8, which 8 for a bulldog is getting
Wow.
up there.
Wow.
Hmm.
But he is such a dear, but my gosh, what a body to come and live in.
So Brenda, well,
Yes,
well, you posted about that, right?
yes.
And at exactly the same time on the community website here in town,
Mhm.
somebody posted a picture of the same dog, only dark. They were looking for the owner.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, how many species of dogs are there?
Yes,
Or different kinds of dog, eh?
Yeah.
And that one lined up on the same day. So
that
another,
magic. We're living the magic. We are living the magic. Oh, and I do see more and more people waking up. The
yeah,
conversations that are being had. It's just, yeah. So I will hold that vision that it's all happening.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And when you were talking about the cancer, Canada and cancer, it was like, bells were going off again. It was like my son is July 19th, cancer. He's constantly feeding people, having people over. Like that is his life, is just nurturing and
Mine
caring.
is 21st.
Oh, is it? Ah,
I have a cancer boy as well.
yeah. And then I came across, let's see, June 21st, 2022, I was in the Yukon. Um, Yeah, for this, and it was the solstice time, and it says Jupiter, my notes to myself, Jupiter 12-year return, 10 p.m., and it was my 72nd year. And then a note I made from my friend, race consciousness pulls you away from perfect union with the all. Oh,
hmm.
anyway. Anyway, interesting to come across those at this time. So,
Nice, very nice. And
Right on.
I love your paintings. They're beautiful.
thank you. They feel
Yeah,
like
very nice.
I've often not shared much of anything, but it feels like it's a turning point or something has clicked inside or anyway, thank you. So just sharing it is huge and being able to share it with you is huge for me. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for sharing. They're beautiful, just
Yeah,
beautiful.
really.
A very good friend from many years ago. And there's a whole story with her, but yeah, she's actually written a book, The Choir Boy and the Belly Dancer. It's the life of her and her husband meeting. It's a great book. Um, But when she saw just a photo of the horse, she has a large collection of art, and she says, "Oh, I'd love a copy of that." So she was the instigator, the to make the scan and have the print made, and she's going to come speak at book club, and we're going to
Oh,
gift her
nice.
with it. So
It's great.
yeah, it's a big step. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. Hmm.
Who knows how the adventure unfolds?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Variety.
Yes. But tomorrow I'm having Steve and I are meeting tomorrow for lunch or brunch or something on his way back to the ferry. So that'll be
Oh,
nice.
nice.
That'd be
Great.
great. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Last word, sorry.
Okay, last word. Well, I just a response to what you were talking about there, Barbara, and
Mhm,
that and it goes back to that book that I've gone back over with the highlighter, and it's Greg Braden's Pure Human,
mhm,
and he talks about the alien abductions that were big a number of years ago. We don't
mhm,
hear about them anymore, really, but all those people, what they said was, what they were told was, don't go in the transhumanist direction
mhm.
because it's not reversible.
Okay.
You
That's
know?
when you give up your soul. That's what Steiner also mentioned with Ahriman, he called it the harmonic
Hmm.
demon. It's kind of a demon.
Yeah.
And they're all just gonna be they create another sphere around Earth. That's the eighth sphere. And it's like really interesting, like somehow they must be different than the others. So soul and soulless, maybe that's what the next step is.
Yeah. But it's not the next step for everybody.
No, no, I mean it's just like you can make a decision, like
Yeah,
you can decide, do you
absolutely.
want to meditate or you want to just uh say that yeah, that the tech is your God.
Yeah.
And then you believe you are God as well. This is how so many people are already so crazy because they think they are gods. So like the ego is telling them
Hmm.
that they are so great and they can change everything. And that's like what you're saying
Hmm.
with the transhuman, because they can make themselves like gods, but they have to put machines into themselves.
Well, there's different things, because I've been dealing with major health challenges for the last few years. And after reading Greg Braden's book, he's got this one breathing exercise,
Mhm.
and it involves coming from the heart while you're doing it. And I did it again last night, and I wake up feeling, yeah, there's more energy here,
Mhm.
and from conditions that people say, oh yeah, you got this many hours, and it's I have more energy now. And for instance, being able to give this presentation, I couldn't have done this a year ago,
No, this is cool. This is
you know,
super.
and I have more energy now. And it's because the cosmic is empowering me because I'm talking to the cosmic.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
And I'm
That's
grateful. And
mhm.
gratitude to me is the biggest thing.
Right on.
Exactly. And
Gratitude.
when you asked her for final words, what popped into my head was gratitude.
Yeah,
Great. Thank you.
super.
That's
Yes.
that's my final word.
Yes.
Thank you.
More shivers. More confirmation. Hmm.
Well,
Okay.
on that very fine word, maybe that's the place to end our call. What do you think?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very, very much, all
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank you.
particularly sorry for this presentation.
You're welcome. Thanks, Dwayne.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah,
And
that's Dwayne's power, That's he can bring people together and empower people, I'm so full of gratitude because for me so many things happened and I'm much more aware if of stuff since we have this group together. So thank you, Dwayne,
oh,
that you have a very good group consciousness. I don't know what it is, but you have it. You have the feather. You can do that, it's
mm,
and we can overcome fear of speaking. I thought I just don't speak enough English, so you guys can understand what I'm saying. And in the beginning, it was hard, but now it's much more fun and less shyness and more standing up for like Brenda says, you have to stand up for what you're doing and what you bring in as a gift from the universe. I mean, your horse is like wonderful, it looks like for me it feels like indigenous pictures, people look up some Indian paintings and they paint a lot of horses and they have also this energy colors, this colorful mane and talking with colors. This is like you have to let it flow in and bring it out and share it.
Always had a very
Rain
deep
makes us share.
indigenous connection, and I've been very, very blessed to
Yeah,
have a
you
lot of
do.
horses in my life.
Yeah, but you express very good with your colors. You are very dare to do more. Dare to you. I mean, this colors in the mane is like exciting. It's so you want it's so blitz energy. It's like lightning energy. It's like a lightning horse.
So
It's a
does
horse.
does freedom sound like a name for him? What is your
Freedom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
resume?
Dwayne's horse. It
Mm.
could be
Because
Dwayne's horse.
Dwayne's
Yeah,
horse.
Dwayne's horse.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
something a breakthrough. It feels like a breakthrough. Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Breakthrough is also a nice name.
votes on the name freedom.
Yeah.
Or any other input on names.
Mhm.
Uh, feathered serpent. Yeah. Because it has this lightning energy also. Lightning is also nice for a horse. Like a flash. Flash. Yeah,
Wow.
it's very, it's
Call him
very,
Flash.
Flash, yes. Or another, friend said horse with no name, it's like
Yeah. Oh,
riding through the desert.
yeah.
See,
yeah,
this
it's good.
person knew knows some of my journey. So, and we met in Sedona. So,
There you go. Nice. Well, big hug, you guys.
and big hugs back to
Yeah, thank you,
You.
Dwayne.
And to everybody
Thank
that's
you.
out there, I see our last video had over 100 views now.
Ooh.
That's something's going on. Uh,
Great.
we're a bit of a crowd.
Love
Good stuff.
All
it.
right.
Mm.
You guys, love you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Bye.